Hola! Let's learn about los verbos reflexivos, in English, reflexive verbs. When you see a pencil, that means there's a place to take notes on the handout. A reflexive verb tells what one does to oneself, almost like a mirror reflecting the action back onto the subject. Let's use lavar to show you what I mean. The verb lavar means to wash, but if we use the word lavarse, that's a reflexive verb that means to wash oneself. Fun fact, reflexive verbs work in all the verb tenses, past, future, present, but we are going to be working with them in the present tense. Even as a beginning Spanish learner, you already use one of these phrases. When someone asks you for your name, you typically will answer me llamo. That's a reflexive verb because while you might translate that phrase as my name is, remember, we want to think in terms of ideas, not words. It really means I call myself. You're reflecting your name back to yourself. So what happens if I take away the me and just have llamo? The meaning changes from I call myself to just I call. For example, llamo a mis amigos means I call my friends, while me llamo means I call myself or my name is. Another example is hablar, to talk. If I say hablo con mis amigos, I'm saying I talk with my friends. But if I say me hablo, I'm really saying I talk to myself. Now remember, I have the pronoun yo in parentheses because, like all subject pronouns, it's optional. How do we know that a verb is reflexive? There's a couple of ways. If the verb is in the infinitive, which hasn't been conjugated yet, you'll see a se on the end of it. Hablar is not a reflexive verb, but hablarse is because of the se. Let's look at the other reflexive object pronouns. Me means myself. Te means yourself. Se, himself, herself, yourself, itself. Nos, ourselves. Os, yourselves but in Spain. And se, their selves or yourselves. Let's look at some common reflexive verbs in the infinitive form. Levantarse, to lift oneself or to get up. Lavarse, to wash oneself. Cepillarse, to brush oneself. Secarse, to dry oneself. Bañarse, to bathe oneself. Peinarse, to comb oneself. And, of course, llamarse, to call oneself. Now just a few more, but these are also stem changers, and we'll have an extra spelling step to them. If you need a review on stem changers, you can watch my video called Spanish Stem Changing Verbs. We have despertarse, to wake oneself up. Vestirse, to dress oneself. Acostarse, to put oneself to bed. And dormirse, to go to sleep. Let's work with levantarse. Step 1 is to ignore the se and then conjugate the infinitive according to the pronoun. Okay, let's see this in action. Take off the se. Now keep in mind this does change the meaning to be to lift, but we'll put the se back on in its proper form. So we drop the se and then we conjugate it. This gives us levanto, levantas, levanta, levantamos, levantáis, and levantan. But we're not done. Step 2 is to add in the correct reflexive object pronoun. So if the verb is in the yo form, you'll use me. If the verb is in the tu form, you'd use te. Remember what happens when you make a verb reflexive. Levanto means I raise, my hand maybe, while me levanto means I get up, I raise myself. Let's look at the other forms. Me levanto, te levantas, se levanta. Now remember, I said we didn't need to use pronouns. There are a few instances where you will want to use a pronoun for clarification. For instance, if I would say se levanta, you wouldn't know if I meant he gets up, she gets up, it gets up, or you form will get up. To be polite, especially for the él, ella, usted, and the ellos, ellas, ustedes forms, we often use the pronouns to clarify who we mean. We would want to say ella se levanta, for she gets up. And then the last three, we have nos levantamos, os levantáis, and se levantan. Be careful if you're an English speaker. You'll eventually say something like cepillo mis dientes. Your brain will tell you that means I brush my teeth, but keep in mind, while Spanish is similar to English, it often can't be translated word for word. It is a different language, and you should be thinking in terms of ideas and not just words. The correct way to say I brush my teeth is me cepillo los dientes. But don't worry, the more you practice, the easier it will get. Well, te toca a ti. Let's start simple, and then we'll move on to sentences. Look at the pronouns below and match them with the correct reflexive object pronoun. I did mix them up a bit just to give you a little bit of a challenge. Remember to pause the video to give yourself time to think or to review your notes. Did you get se, nos, se, me, os, and te? If you didn't, you can always try again, and you can always pause to review the notes. Let's try it with sentences. Again, pause the video to give yourself time to think or to review. Did you get me levanto, nos peinamos, se seca el pelo, os cepilláis los dientes, los perros no se bañan, and me llamo? Muy bien! Hopefully you found this helpful. Before you go, make sure to click on that subscribe button and the bell next to it to be notified of my new videos. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, or if you just want to say hello by commenting below. Adios y nos vemos!